Hey everybody, welcome to the shop. In this video I'm going to be working on a tabletop for an end table. I've got some beautiful black walnut, live edge, so it's still got the bark on it. The wood was cut in the winter, so the bark will stay on even though the wood is dry. Take you through the process that I do to join those together using my biscuit joiner and biscuits. So stay tuned. This is the black walnut we'll be using to build that tabletop. This stuff was cut with the chainsaw into planks. It was cut in the winter months so that the bark would stay on. If it's cut in summer, the bark tends to just fall off. They're really beautiful pieces. They've already been put through the planer so that they're all the same thickness. Here you see I've got everything cut, already lined up. The corners are mitered. What I'm doing is I'm marking each spot that I want to use the biscuit joiner to cut. I'll be making cuts there. That's where the biscuits will be going. You want to do this ahead of time so everything's lined up properly and they all fit together well. I'm adjusting the biscuit joiner there quick for the biscuits that I will be using. Now those marks that were made, each side is lined up, so you've got each board together, you draw a line across the board, you pull the two boards apart, you take your biscuit joiner, you line it up to the line on each side, you make your cut. You put those boards back together, your cut will line up. Got several cuts to make for this tabletop. Pretty much the heartwood pieces have to have a spot for a biscuit on every side. You know, a side for one piece to match up to another, and so that the trim can be attached as well. So it's important to keep all your pieces organized so you can keep track of what goes where so that nothing's mixed up. As you can see, these are the cuts that I made with a biscuit joiner. The letters you see here are so when I reassemble the top and I'm ready to glue and put the biscuits in, everything will line up and they'll all be in the right spot. This is also a good reference to know what side is the top or the bottom of the table. I apply a liberal amount of glue when I'm biscuit joining. I got to make sure that the pockets that you cut have some glue in them, and I like to make sure each edge, meeting edge, has glue on it as well. I'm not too worried about the squeeze out. Clean that up later, either wipe it off or sand it off when everything's dry. When you're applying the clamps, you need to make sure you have enough pressure to just hold the pieces tightly. You don't want to have it too tight if you're using thinner wood, as it can bow. But the wood that I'm using is pretty thick, so I cranked right down on them. Here I'm removing the clamps, the glue's dried. So here's the piece all glued up and joined. We've got the clamps off. Everything came out pretty good. So we're going to get ready and move on to adding the trim. Again, I'm going to use biscuits for this. Still, I'll add a liberal amount of glue to help hold everything together. Not worried about the squeeze out. We'll clean that up in the end. It's important to line the corners up, make sure you're matching each piece to the pieces you've marked so everything fits properly and your biscuits all are in line.
Once you get your last piece of trim on, sometimes you got to finesse it a little bit to get everything lined up right. Once that's in the correct spot, it's time to put the clamps on. Because I'm doing a live edge table, which means the bark is still on, it's important to not over tighten the clamps. Over tightening the clamps can make that bark come off, and I want to try to keep as much bark on this piece as possible. So if you're doing the same thing, don't over tighten your clamps. Apply just enough pressure to hold everything in place.